wait for you all to join us. Hello out there, Soulful followers and friends and family. I am coming here today to talk to Frank from Dank about hash. There he is. And let's see, wait for him to join. Hello everyone. Frank!
Sweet. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Oh, very good. Awesome. Happy to be here.
So I was just greeting everyone. Hello everyone.
Oh, sweet.
Welcome. I am really excited to be here with Frank from Dank to talk about hash. I'm really excited because one, hash is my absolute favorite way of consuming cannabis. And two, I think that hash it's such a gift that has came out of this beautiful relationship that us humans have with this cannabis plant. You know, it's like as humans and plants evolved symbiotically, so did our relationship with this plant, and so did our needs. You know, our needs changed from this plant. And so I'm really excited about that. I think it's an ever evolving relationship that we have. You know, you can really tell from the cannabis toolbox that we have now. I think there's an array of offerings from isolations to all sorts of hydrocarbons through, you know, traditional hash. And I'm really excited to be talking to you because Dank really preserves and offers the traditional ancient form of cannabis. So welcome, Frank.
Cool. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Why don't you tell us a little bit
Sweet.
about you personally, your journey with this plant and what inspired you to be here, and yeah, tell us about yourself.
Okay. So cannabis is a big part of my life as an artist, as a musician and stuff. I feel like cannabis inspires me constantly creatively and stuff. So it's a big part of my life, and I didn't understand why it was oppressed where I grew up in New York. So it was a big part of my life within prohibition culture. So coming out here and seeing the paradise and also the culture that's been prosperous here, changed my whole life. So I feel like my role in this industry, and actually that's the boss of Dank right behind us, arriving just on time. My role is to help to understand the opportunity that we have here to preserve this legacy of the cannabis heritage that grew in the triangle and stuff. Because I see it as an outsider and this whole new thing to me and stuff like that, and seeing the hash and understanding that hash is a vital component to understanding craftsmanship in the United States and how it can be a major part to play in all of this.
Absolutely. How did you start using cannabis, or like what really got you into this as your mission? Because it's obvious this is your passion and your mission. But I'm just
for sure. Quite a few things. I think mainly what it does for people. It's like for me. It really emboldens my passion for music and all things in life. So I see that in other people, and I found some of my strongest friendships have unified through cannabis. I would say all of my strongest friendships probably, and then through that, it just emboldened everything else in my life. Food, it makes food better. I already love food, so I feel like Dank has a double meaning for me.
Yes.
So Dank world.
It is a dank world. How did you get intertwined with Dank?
So it's actually one of my best friends right here, Mr. Igor Ainbinder. And he was running a hash company in the 215 times called Ancient Earth Elements, which has the exact stuff we're talking about. Yeah. Ancient elixirs. I'm sorry. What am I doing? Ancient elixirs. I'm sorry. That's our other buddy's company. But yeah, ancient elixirs, and they're same concept that we as Dank fully, given birth to and given life to, in this sense, not birth, but given life to in that sense.
Tell us a little bit about.
So yeah, I met him, and he. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I met him, and he was selling hash, making hash. dispensaries. Transition over. He made hella dank and stuff, and asked me to come here and.
Well, we initially met on Hate Street. Initially, it was just before Ancient Elixirs. I literally was just making hash. It's like renegade style, and
in San Francisco.
Hate Street, San Francisco. Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't making it there, but that was like the outlet. pre.
I'm sure you got a lot of inspiration on Hate, right? San Francisco. Am I breaking up?
What was that?
What was the first part?
You probably got a lot. You probably got a lot of inspiration from Hate Street.
Oh,
absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, I personally, I feel like Hate Street's kind of like, I don't know, I almost see it as like part of my roots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Becoming a hash maker.
Yeah.
But an American, I guess, a hash maker in America. It's like the
Can you tell us a little bit about Hella Dank? Like, what are the roots of Hella Dank, and what do you guys provide?
Hella Dank is basically we're trying to be like the good guys in one of the good guys in the cannabis field that's uplifting small like crafting soil and kind of shining a light on the importance of sustainability and basically like using cannabis as a tool to make the world a better place. And we make hash rosin, and hash infused pre rolls as well. We're basically a hash company. We're all centralized around hash, and it all stems from a love of hash, and also just the idea that we can make it with just living soil material and water and ice. And honestly, I feel like Personally, I feel like it's a bummer if people spend the time to grow organic or a top tier like regenerative and then blast that stuff with chemicals. So we're trying to liberate the material from a fate of getting I feel like kind of tainted.
And to add to that, in a world of consumerism, what we've developed in this modern era is a world where you buy a product. It's the end result, and you don't think about the natural means of what went into it. So we're trying to emphasize the fact that the farmers, the means of cultivation, all of it has to do with what they are doing. So the extractor's job is actually to emphasize what the farmer has been doing, similar to wine in that aspect, but otherwise very dissimilar to wine. But very similar to wine in the aspect to be appreciated in the next few years. We already appreciate Humboldt and Mendocino here in California, but
If it's grown regeneratively, that ends up just it's like it's already beyond organic, and then concentrating it into hashish just puts a huge spotlight on all the terpenes and stuff like that. There's nothing in there that's adulterating the taste. Whereas we've seen like some industrial ag, we've as a company we haven't done it, but I've spun hash from like industrial ag material. And I mean, as a company, we have done it during R&D phase. We'll just never do it for an actual product, and it ends up just magnifying all the like minute amounts of pesticides and random chemicals and salts that they're using in their grow. So it's like if it's regenerative, when you make hash, it just brings it out more, and then whenever it's not, it ends up bringing out all the bad stuff significantly.
Right, and I think that even goes like really far into it energetically too, because like Frank, you just talked about consumer. You're that type of consumer. You care about what goes into your body, and you want organic. I think that the type of farmer that's growing regenerative obviously really cares, and they're very intentional about what they do. So I think when you're concentrating something that's so intentionally grown, you're also concentrating that intention, right? Yeah.
Absolutely,
That's,
absolutely.
yeah. And then also, like, have you seen a difference from outdoor grown to indoor grown? Like, do you guys play with both?
Yeah, I mean, so it's beautiful. There's very beautiful indoor grown cannabis, and the result is also still gorgeous. It's just it's a completely different product. You know, it's still extremely terpy. You know, I would say basically it's where your aspirations lie, because my aspirations lie with the small farmers,
Yeah.
and I care more about, like, you know, that stuff, and that, like, basically um, there more lights and more time and more energy go into the indoor, so less of it comes out. You know, all
Right.
of this stuff adds up. You know, it ends up being more expensive and stuff like that. You know.
And,
Not just that. I mean, just like the whole. I mean, it's just indoor can be done right, but even perfectly done indoor, you end up using way more fossil fuels to get
That's
the
really what
result
I mean.
and
Yeah.
things like that. And we're, I mean, being kind of like you know, trying to make the world a positive, or trying to make a positive impact on the world and our environment, stuff like that. We're more so supporting the sun-grown regenerative farms, which I feel like really good outdoor can actually be better than indoor, or in my opinion, most of the time is better than
absolutely. And I think that, like, people like you and us here at Solful, we're trying to help, like, change that perception, because sometimes, like, the bag of pill is so much different on indoor, and I think that some people are conditioned to think that is the best, but really, when you know everything goes into a regenerative outdoor or organic, or, you know, outdoor farming in general, like, you start to appreciate it more. And when you're talking about concentrates, you want things with high terpenes, and sun grown cannabis gets the most terpenes, because, as you guys know, terpenes is their defense mechanism. Oh, there's Eli. Eli joined. We had a couple questions. I want to check those out.
Hey.
Cool.
I think someone was asking you guys if you have any rosin pods or carts coming down the line. Do you have anything like that?
Did you say rosin pod?
Rosin pods or carts? That's what someone was asking. Yeah, cartridges.
We have no plans as of right now, to at least as our brand, to make any sort of cartridges or pods. We do have some innovative ideas that are hash related that are different, but I'm personally not the biggest fan or supporter of cartridges. I know there's some good ones out there and stuff like that, but it's just like an additional, I don't know, it's just like an additional waste. And then also there's that's created from it, and then also there's, in my personal opinion, it's kind of like a diet version of actually using hash or rosin. But I mean, there are some good rosin cartridges out there. I don't want to like completely hate on them, which personally, as our standpoint, we're more so leaning towards like the more natural forms of smoking, and the less processing, the better. More focused towards like the raw concentrates. We are gonna release. We are planning on releasing, for convenience sake, down the line, these a pipe that will have a bowl pack of hash. It'll be a hash pipe, and it'll have a bowl pack of hash right there. And it'll be a glass pipe. It won't be extremely fancy, but it'll be a totally reusable glass pipe, not a throwaway. And so, kind of like the equivalent of a pre-roll, but it'll be hash with a pipe to kind of introduce people to smoking hash, and then also just give people a really easy way to immediately use it without having to figure something out. I feel like that kind of deters people from using the raw concentrates as much as the cartridges. And why the cartridges have become so big is because they're so incredibly easy to use. So what we seek to do is figure out ways to bring raw concentrates into the same type of like, basically make it just as easy to use raw concentrates as it is to smoke a cartridge.
I love that. So you'd include a little hammer pipe?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a hammer. It'll probably be, thus far we're thinking it'll be like a to use with hash. And right now we're pretty early on in R&D on getting the perfect pipe down because obviously hash acts way different than flour does. But thus far, that's the direction we're going is like a miniature hash chillum, which actually chillums are a very traditional hash device just for, you know, from a very long time ago, stemming from the Middle East and stuff like that. And still today in Europe and India and stuff like that, chillums are the most, probably some of the most used devices for smoking hash.
So cool. So another way of preserving the tradition of hash.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. So we know a little
Yeah.
bit about like what materials go into your hash. What can you tell us about the hash making process? Like where are you getting your like what tradition does your inspiration come from?
So personally, I started spinning hash about 12 years ago, and initially I was just taught by a friend of mine who knew just a little bit, showed me the basics, but the hash, I guess the person that I would say I learned the most from to get to a level of being able to make really high quality hash is Matt Rise, rollitup.org. He taught the extractions class at Oaksterdam a while back. Currently, he's not making hash officially, but he used to have his own brand as well. I think he actually coined the term ice wax a while back during the T15 days. But he has a lot of really, really good information on his forum, rollitup.org. And I basically a combination of reading his text on the forum, talking to other people on the forum, and also just trying to figure it out over. I was lucky enough, I was fortunate enough to actually get to work on a regenerative farm as a main hash snitter for about a year, and I was there with another friend of mine. We both we were basically between the two of us um, we made all the hash for this farm. And this farm actually went on to become one of the few Dragonfly Earth Medicine certified regenerative farms. And before I started my hash company, before I even sold hash on Haight Street, I got a whole year in working on this farm. And it was just, yeah, me and a friend of mine and myself and Matt Rise's forums, pretty much.
Cool. He's definitely a legend in his
But
most definitely.
When we first came together to start the company, and when I like came on here and stuff, I was interested in all of Frenchie's techniques, and like I got really interested in Lawrence. Like I bought every book I could find that was available on hashish, which is the two Robert Clark hashish books, a couple of old Aleister Crowley books from the occult and stuff like that, and then Lawrence Cherniak is like a traveler that like just like Frenchie, he went around in like the 60s and 70s before all the production or producing countries got like infiltrated and stuff before all the hash got sold, you know, before it got very popular. That's how Frenchie describes it, at least, you know, so they got to see all the really cool stuff. But so Lawrence actually had cameras, so he just filmed everything and took pictures and stuff, made these really cool books. So I feel like we like draw a lot of influence from the ancient civilizations and the technique and the idea of like using the entire plant and you know, the culture of giving back to the earth what you're taking from it, you know, and that's why we have really zoned in on the regenerative. That's a movement that's already doing this as well. It's bigger than all of us, you know. It's ancient thing.
yeah,
Yes,
it's bigger than hash or cannabis.
Right. I really think it's just such a cool thing, like this relationship that we have with the plant that we've gotten to evolve this concentrate, like, yeah, this concentrate relationship with it. Really think it's really special, and it keeps evolving. You know, we keep figuring out new ways of using the plant and extracting it and concentrating it. I just think it's such a beautiful thing, and I love that you guys are honoring it. And Frank, you had told me something earlier about the different profiles between like granulated and pressed hash, right?
Okay, so yeah, what I was talking earlier about is like you'd ask which products we have, and I told you that we primarily do a pressed hash. We chose to do a pressed hash instead of just a unpressed hash, and it's I've heard Frenchie say it recently since this last. Hang on one second, I'm just gonna hit this. All right, so I heard Frenchie say this recent, way after we had really decided that we were only going to do a press hash, and he also only does press hash, and he said no producing country, ever, none of them, no person in anywhere there would ever smoke hash unpressed. They would say, oh, or resin unpressed. He would say, they would say, oh, that would make nice hash, and they would like, you know, that was his response. So I mean, the idea is that it's more active. When it's unpressed, to give people oils, so it's very fragile. It's extremely fragile, and you know, basically, we're just separating that from the plant. It's sitting on the outside of the plant. If you touch the plant, you're going to pop it. You know, anything is going to pop it. So we are separating that thing, and he explained that the skin that's around the oils is just as important as the oils. If you take the oils, that's extraction. We're sieving it because we're separating this fragile bubble that's holding the oils, right? So when we separate this and we have the skin still around the oils and we choose when it pops, not allowing it to pop before we want it to, you know, we clean it completely off and then we allow it to pop. That skin is going, it's fusing with the oils, and the two things together is hashish. Those two things together, not just the oil on itself. You don't want just the oils. It's the two things together. It's why the hashish is so much closer to the plant than any other extract. I would never call it an extract. This is the plant. So anyway, once it's pressed, it's further activated by all of this. You press it with heat and hand pressure because otherwise the skin and the oils are not going to form together. They're just going to oxidate. And the oil will oxidate and it will leave behind something different. It needs to be fully decarboxylated. If you listen to Frenchie, he will say, you got to press it, press it, press it, press it. Heat. It's not hot enough. You know, he's going to continue. He's going to tell you until you get it right because you don't want to fuck that up. Excuse my language. But yeah, so the pressed form of the hash is that is the art. That's the product, you know?
Yep. I love how excited you get.
Cheers.
So this gentleman, Levin, I don't know how to say his screen name, but he's liking it too.
Sweet.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Then what do you see in a material that wants you to take it one step further and then make it into rosin? You know?
To be 100% honest, like there's a lot of factors that go into it. It's hard to say. Like sometimes it's something that like will make rosin out of it, and it will be so good of a rosin that it will be that choice. But sometimes it'll be like there's such good hash coming out of it that you won't want to make it rosin. This is something Igor can speak on.
Yeah, definitely. It's a hard choice to make, honestly. When hash makes, you know, when you make the hash and the hash comes out so perfect, it's hard to want to take it any further.
Right.
But what we end up testing at like almost every single thing we make in the hash, we end up making a tiny little tester in the rosin just to see. And what really ends up happening is we see if the rosin can surpass the hash, then ideally we'll make it in the rosin.
And it's a rare choice it's a rare occasion. Usually, if the hash is gleaming and golden, bountiful, then you want to make it into hash, and then that's what's going to be the process. And the majority of that batch is going to go to hash, you know. But then also, if it will make better rosin than it would make hash, then it's worth it to make it into hash.
Yeah, I mean, we grade the rosin just like we have a grading scale for the hash, where we have like a melt grade scale for the hash. For the rosin, we don't have different rosin products out there, but we just internally grade the hash rosin as we make the little tiny samples. And merits are like how fast it butters up, and how you know, how we like the consistency, how the terps pop out, and basically is there more flavor coming out of it made into rosin, or was it actually, you know, was it already perfect as a 5-star hash or even a 4-star hash? So it's a lot of factors, but it gets down to basically us being hash nerds about it, and all of us internally smoking it and trying it and trying it again and then trying it like a week later and then thinking about it and then eventually picking something.
London B in the chat says resin is better than rosin, and that's what I was explaining. Is the resin? That's the whole thing that you want. Is the hash? So it's not. It's everybody has a different preference, but it really is truly medicinal to get the whole plant. So we love to get the hash out there to people, and we're honored to be able to make hash rosin, which is another way to preserve and utilize the whole plant and all of the pulls of the hash. Whereas we're only selling the full melt, which is the pressed full melt bubble hash, right? So the rosin can sometimes utilize more of the screens that won't be into the hash. So that's one other aspect as well.
Yeah, but that gets confusing there, because then there's this BHO extracted resin out there, and I think a lot of people get confused by, you know, what's what, resin, rosin, and it's a little confusing.
Well, resin just means the resinous stuff coming out of the plant, so
Yeah,
they're just uninformed with the
well, it's not just that you have to. I mean, regardless, a lot of people are uninformed, and they need to. You know, in that sense, it is easier to use like terminology like rosin. Resin is like talking about the resin glands and stuff like that. That's like it's like hash nerd language. And the thing is, actually, that terminology came way before all this BHO stuff even popped up.
Right.
But now that it has popped up, we do have to acknowledge that, and we don't want to confuse people. We do want, you know, if you're looking to get the solventless version, you should be able to find it easily without having to, you know, find a different terminology for each brand. So,
he's right. Yeah, that's true.
you know, people refer to hash as resin a lot of times as well.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
And that ends up that's more like internal hash talk, I'd say.
Right.
Once you're you know, once you're smoking hash all the time, you might end up throwing it out there.
Pete over at Future Cannabis just joined. What's going on, Pete?
And Griffin too, Triometry.
Oh,
and
fuck yeah.
And Theo. Also in the chat. Cool.
Well, guys, we're celebrating Mother's Day all week here at Solful. I just want to ask you guys, like, how does your mothers feel about hash and what you guys are doing?
So I mean, for me, our company Hello Dank, it's actually like we have 3 owners. It's me, my brother, and my dad. And then my mom is not part of the company, so to say, but like she's fully on board. She's definitely, you know, she like growing up, she never smoked weed that I knew of or anything like that. But like she came out to visit me and stuff like that, and she like got stoned a little bit. She like took a hit. So she's my mother is finally on board with the hash train, but. I think it's also partially due to the fact that it's opening up, you know, across the country. It's not just, you know, it's not just isolated here on the West Coast.
Yeah. What about you, Frank?
All right, so my mother inspired me majorly to like once everything got going out here and stuff like that, I recognized you know how her influence helped me guided me here and stuff, because she said to me when I was 12 when I started smoking weed that if she knew where it came from, if she knew what was in it, that she would be fine with me doing it, but that she was basically you know, the fear porn from the media got to her and stuff with the you know, there's chemicals and the people growing in their closet putting drugs in it and all that stuff. So she was always like mad at me about it, and I was very prohibition culture and stuff. And when I came out here, you know, I saw what was going on. I saw the trees that they're growing and stuff. Well, I said I have an idea of what they're putting in it, you know. And then when I started doing really well in cannabis and stuff, and my life going a lot better, started to be able to do my art and all that stuff, you know, my mother got very supportive with it and stuff. So I write, and I always I speak for the trees in my writings and stuff, because she inspired me with reading the Lorax when I was younger and stuff like that, and how I believe the cannabis thing is kind of the answer to the factory 1984 default reality that they're trying to, you know, impose on us and stuff. I think this is the answer to that. So
beautiful.
my mother, that whole thing.
I love So your mother really raised you to care about what you put in your body, and
Yeah,
how the earth is being taken care of.
absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Well, big ups to mothers everywhere. And thank you guys for coming on here. This was really fun. I appreciate you guys.
It
And
was so fun. Thank you for having us. And we love Soulful so much. That's one thing is y'all are doing exactly what I would have assumed Dispensary should be. You know, this is you guys are like the agricultural marketplace that made me think of the terminology. I don't like to use the word hate, first of all, but I really don't like industry.
I
The
don't either.
terminology industry is infiltrating our thing that we have going on that we call life and we wake up to every day. And I think it's an agricultural marketplace. I've never been somewhere where you wake up and the people are giving away the fruit of their bounty to their neighbors and sharing all the different flavors and everything. It doesn't exist in civilization, but it does exist in nature.
Yeah.
So
Respect. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone
Thank
for
you.
joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.